What if I told you just reading 10 books could completely transform your writing? So, whether you're struggling with story structure, character development, finding the creativity or productivity, these books will probably hold some of the answers. I've read hundreds and hundreds of books about writing, and in this video, I'm going to talk about 10 of them that really has changed the way I write stories. And the first book I wanted to talk about is On Writing by Stephen King. This is the Swedish version. But this book really, really helped me when it comes to, finding a writing routine and realizing that to be able to write great stories, I have to put in the hours and I have to take my writing seriously. There was a time when I actually tried Stephen King's writing routine, and I will link the video from it in the description box for you guys. But trying out his writing routine after reading this book really, really helped me when it comes to finding a writing routine that works for me. And also, now I produce a lot more text and I have found a way to improve my writing a lot more. So if you want to find inspiration and learn more about writing, I recommend you read this one. It's sort of like a memoir mixed together with a how-to book, or what to say. So it's not only about the craft of writing, but it's also about his life and how he became as successful as he is today. One of the key advices from this book is that he says that we should not overcomplicate things. Good writing can be clean cut, and you should cut away the fluff. So stop using fancy words and try to write better. He also talks a lot about the fact that to become a great writer, you have to read a lot. So if you don't already read a lot, please start doing that, because that's how we improve as writers. I completely agree with King on that point. Book number 2 is Writing Down the Bones by Natalie Goldberg. This was probably one of the first books that I read on the craft of writing. I read it when I studied writing at university. This was probably, this was more than 10 years ago. And this book, I don't know, the thing that I liked, especially in the beginning of my writing career, it was so good to hear that it's okay to just sit down and write, and it doesn't have to be good from the beginning. You can just pour things out on the page and edit later. This was a big key insight for me, because before that I had some inner demon that told me that if I'm going to do it, it has to be good from the get-go. And that usually never happens when it comes to writing. Maybe it does for some people, but when you're learning, you need to have a beginner's mindset. And, it doesn't matter if it's writing, it doesn't matter if it's a new sport or whatever. You need to have a beginner's mindset and just sit down and do things. Another thing that Goldberg talks a lot about is the fact that we have to experience things and live our lives to be able to write good stories. And this is also something that I think that we can take into account when it comes to our writing, that when things happen in life, take that as an opportunity to try and take a step back and analyze it. Feel your way through it. Try to see it as a learning opportunity for you to one day pull out from your archive of emotion and experience and use into your writing. Goldberg also talks about the fact that writing is practice, and the more you do it, the better you get. So don't wait for inspiration, just sit down and write. She says that you can set a timer for 10 minutes and then just write as fast as you can without stopping. No thinking, no editing, just get words down. This is like doing NaNoWriMo, but in real life. And my key takeaway from this book is that it's better to stop waiting for perfection, just start writing. And the third book is The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron. You know that I've been talking a lot about that book now on my channel, because I'm doing The Artist's Way as we speak. I actually have an e-copy of the book right now because I gave away my hardcover to a friend that needed it more than me. So I'm reading the ebook right now. But one of the key insights from The Artist's Way is that, there might be so many things that are blocking you from creating and writing and doing the things you want to do. And that is why we need to work our way through the blockages. One of the ways to do this is to start writing morning pages. I do it. I've been doing it for several years now. each and every day I write at least one handwritten page, usually 3. And this is a great way for me to just clear my mind, clear my head, and I don't know, do a brain dump before I start my day. And usually before I start my writing, because I write in the mornings. And another thing that she talks about that I think is so crucial for us as artists is the fact that we need to go on artist dates. We need to take care of the inner child within ourselves and just make sure to, get inspiration and motivation from external factors. We can't just, run on fumes. We need to get nutrition for our creativity from somewhere. So make sure that you plan in, I don't know, going to a museum or doing something for you. That's super important if you want to be a writer in the long run. One of the key takeaways from the book is that creativity isn't something that you wait for, it's something you make space for. Book number 4 is another ebook that I read, and it's The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp. She is a legendary choreographer and dancer, and her lessons are about creativity. They can apply to all artists, including us writers. And one of the key lessons from her book is that creativity isn't about waiting for inspiration. It's about building a habit that makes you creative and that makes it automatic, basically. So trying to find a pre-ritual when it comes to your writing. For me, this is when I wake up. I usually meditate for 15 minutes. Then I write my morning pages, and then I sit down and write. I do this each and every single day. I have a black cup of coffee. I drink some water. That's what works for me, at least right now. I started doing this after reading Atomic Habits, which is also a great book when it comes to habit formation. This teaches me that my brain knows that each and every single morning it's time to write. So I don't need to warm up. I don't need to look for inspiration. I just start writing. Tharp, she's a dancer, and she will go to the dance studio and do her workouts, whether she feels it or not, whether she wants to or not. As a dancer and as a writer, you need to put in the work to be able to get creative and to be able to get the results that you want to get. And I know that can seem like a harsh truth or a hard learning for some people who just wants to do this for fun, but a key takeaway is that discipline creates creativity. And the more structured you are, the freer you become. And book number 5 that I wanted to recommend is Story Engineering by Larry Brooks. This is one of my favorite books when it comes to writing. As you can see, I have a lot of post-its when it comes to this book, and I've talked about it on this channel before. I will link the video about the story engineering in the description box. But this book helped me so much when it came to knowing how to create great concepts for my books. I think that's the key learning that I needed from story engineering. I know story engineering talks a lot about like the four acts and theme and a lot of other things. So there are 6 core competencies, but one of them stood out for me because I guess that's what I needed to learn from the book. And yeah, I keep on going back to this one whenever I feel like a story that I'm working on is missing something. I will go back and usually look at the theme and the concept to see if there's anything that needs to be optimized there. And one of the key takeaways from this is that if your story feels off, it's probably missing structure, and you can learn the framework from this book. Book number 6 is Story Genius by Lisa Cron. And in this book, she asks the question, what is more important, plot or character? And according to Story Genius, the answer is that character-driven stories are a lot more engaging. And the lesson here is that the internal struggle should drive each and every single scene, not just external events. So instead of just thinking about what will happen next, ask yourself, why does this matter to my character? I actually made an entire video about what I learned from scene cards in this book. So if you want to watch that, I will link it in the description box. But yeah, this book helped me so much when it comes to creating great scenes. Because, when I write the first draft of the manuscript, usually I will just write until I read this book. Then I started actually planning them with scene cards. When I started planning it with scene cards, there were a lot of scenes that I could actually just cut out because they weren't relevant to the story. They didn't progress the story forward. It didn't really matter to the characters. So if you want to cut away the fluff and if you want to learn how to create great scenes, read this book. I recommend it highly. And a key takeaway is that stories aren't just about events. It's about emotions as well. Books number 7 that I wanted to recommend is a classic. It's Save the Cat Writes a Novel by Jessica Brody. And this book is based on Blake Snyder's book. Save the Cat is about screenplays and how to create a great story structure for a screenplay. And the thing is, when it comes to screenplays and when it comes to books, it applies to both. So if you want to learn how to make a great framework and setup for your book, read this one. It's super good. If you aren't that much of a plotter and you're more of you write by the seat of your pants, you can actually use this book to go through and see that you hit your plot points afterwards when you work through the revision of your manuscript. And the same applies for this book. Like, you can look through scenes and work your way through it during revision, or you can work your way through it when you write your first draft. It doesn't really matter as long as you actually make sure that each and every scene matter and hear that, you hit your plot points and the story is as good as it can be. And the key takeaway from this book is that every great story follows a beat sheet, which is a series of key moments in the story that that keeps the reader engaged. This is something that we actually expect as readers. So if a story feels off, it might definitely be the fact that some of the beats are missing or that some of the beats are in the wrong order or whatever. So read this book. And book number 8 that I wanted to talk about is The Blueprint Your Bestseller by Stuart Horwitz. I have also talked about that book on this channel before, but that is a great book for anyone who wants to learn how to edit and revise your book in a great way. Your final draft should focus on the core message of your story, and you should cut away everything that doesn't serve it. If a scene doesn't move your plot forward or develop the character, you should cut it out. The key takeaway is that the best writers aren't the best writers. They are the best editors. And yeah, it's just such a great book when it comes to revision. Book number 9 is 5,000 Words Per Hour by Chris Box. And this is a book about writing faster. So if you've ever wished that you can write faster, this is the book for you. And one of the learnings from that book is that, you should eliminate all your distractions. You can use the Pomodoro method. The real insight that I actually got from this book was the fact that this is the book that made me wanted to try to write each and every single day, because he talks about one of the things that made him write a lot faster than he did before was the fact that he started writing every day. And that was something that I wanted to do. I also wanted to start, that book made me start tracking my word count. So I know how much I write each and every single hour. I know how much I can edit in an hour. It's a super short book, but it had some really great insights. And for me, it was so impactful to get that push to, try and write faster and try and write better. A key takeaway from this book is the fact that you can write now and edit later. Most people get stuck because they're trying to write perfect sentences as they go. And book number 10 is How to Write Archetypal Character Arcs. And this book taught me so much when it comes to writing stories. So, we've all heard about the hero's journey. And the writer's journey, the hero with 1,000 faces. There are so many more archetypical characters that you could follow. So, why not write about the maiden's arc or the king's arc or whatever? This book is such a, treasure trove. It's so great. K.M. Weiland, who wrote the book, she actually has a lot of information, if you're curious, on her website as well and in her podcast. So check that out if you wanted to write, more dynamic characters and not just write the ones that we expect. Don't only do the hero's journey. Try to do something different. And the key takeaway from that book is that readers connect with stories that that reflect real life growth. So there you have it. Here are 10 of the books that I really recommend that can help you transform your storytelling, your creativity, and your writing process. But now I want to hear back from you. Which books do you recommend that I read? Which one would you like me to do videos about? Drop a comment and hit that like button if you like this video. Subscribe for more videos like this. As you can see, I have a lot more books on writing that I haven't read yet. So, yep, I'm going to keep on reading, keep on writing, keep on learning. And together, we're taking our author careers to the next level. Happy writing. Bye.